All right, gonna try this again and see if it's working. Hopefully, it says I have a connection. I'm gonna see if anybody can hear me in chat. Sorry, I'm kind of new to this. Hopefully this works. If anybody comes online, hey, oh wait, what's up? Can you hear me? Is the sound okay? Is anything delayed? Okay, cool. My voice isn't delayed at all. That sounds okay. All right, I'm gonna take that as a yes. All right, I'll keep an eye on chat just in case it gets bad. All right. Sweet. Okay, cool. I'm going to wait probably a couple minutes. I want to wait until 4. I just wanted to make sure that this is working. Hopefully, it is listed as well. Let me just check a few things here. 1 second. It says unlisted now. Why does it say that? 1 second here. All right, now it says public. Okay, good. All right, that's sweet. All right, I'm probably going to go ahead and get started here. So, since this is my first official daily market recap, I wanted to just kind of let you guys know what it's about. So, the gist of this is going to be going over how the market performed, key news events that came up, what I'm doing within the markets, what my portfolio looks like, and pulling up individual stocks too at people's request on top of the stuff that I'm looking to do. So, without further ado, I'm going to start off here. For anybody who didn't catch the markets all day today, Meta crushed it, continued to. I actually think that could have 25% more upside before it starts hitting resistance. We'll see how well it does. But Amazon crushed it, Nvidia's crushing it. So the big ones are crushing it. Outside of them, we did get more market breadth. I was worried that we would have less earlier in the day, and I was wrong. So the market breadth was okay. Real estate obviously is getting crushed. I think there's sectors, without going into too much detail, I think with rates, with the chance of rate cuts in March declining, hey, happy Friday. I think with the chance of rate cuts declining in March, I think that real estate, I think that companies like Tesla and Enphase that are rate dependent are going to get hurt. We could see too within the dollar that it's gaining strength, and that's not going to be great for companies like that either that have international business. You can see here where it closed above the 200 moving average. So that sucks, and it's got bullish divergence and convergence here still on the daily. It did have some divergence yesterday, but now the dollar's taken off again, and I don't love that because that traditionally can be tough on the markets over the long haul. But outside of that, again, markets did okay all in all. We set some new highs. If I just pop over here to the Dow Jones Industrial, we actually closed the day, I believe, in new high territory. The SPX, I think, did the exact same thing. So the S&P, closed up, new highs. The NASDAQ, I can't quite tell. I want to say it did. Yeah, it did. So really, the only thing that was really underperforming is the small caps, the Russell. And that was in negative territory today. And I jumped out of TNA today because I don't want 3x leverage on small caps at a time where rates aren't going down. History tells us that won't be kind to small caps. They need, these guys usually, their capital requirements, everything else, they need better interest rates to thrive. And it doesn't look like we're going to get that at least for, a month potentially, unless some of the data starts to sour in the economy. And so far, it's been really good. I'm just going to hop into that real quick. Today was way better than I expected. Non-farm payrolls were huge. Highest levels in like 13 months. After a previously solid month in December. So that all looks good. There might be seasonality in that. And from what I can tell, there's going to be revisions later, probably to the downside, but unemployment stayed where it was. We're still at levels that are near historic lows. I mean, you can see the 2008 financial collapse. By the time unemployment started to tick up, markets were still creeping, going up here into the 5, I think almost to the 6% range. That's where we peaked in 2008 with the great financial crisis. So we aren't seeing any indication of that. which I think is another reason why markets took off today. We have payrolls coming in. We have low unemployment. Average hourly earnings outperformed today too, better than consensus and forecast. So those are sitting pretty good historically. Let's take a look here. Historically, they're sitting at a pretty high average, at least going back to, again, that 2008 area. So they're sitting strong. And I don't think there's any threat of inflation. I'll show you a number with that in a second. But participation rate, it came in pretty much where expected. Factory orders were actually expected to be negative month over month. This is for December, but they actually came in slightly better than expected. And Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey is, I mean, it's a high level. It's almost 80. So you could definitely see some recovery here. You could see that we actually went worse than what we had in 2008 for the consumer sentiment, but now we're popping really high. So all of the economic data looks strong today, all of it. And then, when we look at, I don't know how many of you have seen this. This is Michael Howell's, from Capital Wars. He wrote that book. It's his global liquidity index, and it shows the cycle of global liquidity. And it's freakish how close this is. It can vary by like a year or two sometimes between the 65-month wave. But if you look historically, sometimes it's perfect. And here at the peak of 2021, it was perfect. The trough of 2022 heading into 2023, it was perfect. And it clearly has us going higher. So, and we could see global liquidity funneling in from everything. I won't go into all the details, but we know that it's going up. So I think that's a big driver between economic data looking strong and then global liquidity being strong and then having the fabulous five or whatever the heck we're calling it nowadays doing great. I mean, Meta's got 24% revenue growth. Like everything looks beautiful. Touching real quickly, my portfolio, I was only up 8,000 on the day. I got smoked by ARKG and everything Bitcoin pretty much didn't do great today either. Inflation. This is what scares me, and I kind of went off on a rant about this. Inflation per Trueflation, which was incredibly accurate in late part of 2022 and all through 2023, and I think now is showing that we're down to 1.34%. Now, I probably went off too much on this today. If we have inflation that's low, hopefully not negative, and then the economic data looks good, we're probably all right. We're probably good, and we'll probably just keep rocketing along for a while. My greatest fear is that if we maintain rates higher for longer, we have the real estate market that's still kind of frozen. It's not going anywhere. If we look at the data on that, it's at record low levels, whether you're looking at, home equity lines of credit, home equity loans, refi of any kind, home sales outside of new because nobody's selling old. And then you look at auto and you see prices coming down. There's just a lot of deflationary forces that worry me and parts of the economy that are not fired off right now. Of course, history tells us that the economy not doing well and not firing on all cylinders doesn't necessarily prevent the stock market from doing it. So we'll see how things play out, but I don't like this number and I don't want to see it go to single digits. Because from my experience, this is about 30 to 60 days ahead of what happens with the Fed. So I want to see this starting to do better. The last thing I want to see from the Fed, I want us to be proactive. I don't think we have issues with inflation at all. I think this is a very clear representation of that. And I don't want to have the Fed come in late like they do all the time. I want to see them lower rates proactively ahead of time, especially in an environment where we could be dropping into single digits with per Trueflation. So I would love to see that. I would love to see that because, again, then maybe we can get the auto sector going again and get some love to Tesla because I don't think they're going to have any. They're not even filling their gap right now. I'll pull that chart up in a second, but it's depressing to see what's happening with them. And then they have the issues too, where with the dollar going higher, they have to deal with foreign exchange and the headwinds that are created from a stronger dollar. It means that they don't get as much money when they're selling their cars overseas. So Tesla doesn't want to see this. Enphase doesn't want to see a stronger dollar. They don't want to see interest rates stay high. They want people to be able to take out loans, and the real estate market wants people to be able to take out loans. And the banking sector wants some relief from their bonds that are crushed, so that they don't have to realize losses. So I I hope that the Fed, without going out on a diatribe here, I hope that the Fed starts to loosen by March or at least May, and it looks proactive so that we can have an economic cycle that is strong. I don't want just a melt up. I actually want to see things going well in our economy for all of our sakes. All right, let me see here. Where next? Oil. Oil looks like it's going to break down, like I called yesterday in my wrap up. Oil is testing the 200 moving average right now, but it's got pretty much a tweezer top up here. It hit resistance and then broke down. None of that is good for oil. So I wouldn't be surprised. I drew this on a chart. I wouldn't be surprised to see it dipping into the 60s. To me, too, historically, having when you've got wars in Russia and people blocking paths through the Red Sea and wars in Israel and the threat of war with Taiwan and China, it's honestly astonishing that oil is so low right now and that it's going to break lower. I wouldn't look at that as being really strong for the global economy. I'd say if anything, that's a reflective of weakness. I don't want it to be, but I would say that it is. Bond market. Again, the bond market popped today because of the fact that, the economy looks strong. And so the 20-year popped up. 3, 5, and 10 all went higher. Bitcoin's actually maintaining pretty good. It's a rock star. Like it's down. I'd say the miners got hit a little bit today and some altcoins depreciated a little bit in value, but for the most part, the crypto and altcoin markets are holding up really strong. So that's a good thing to see. And again, I talked about this yesterday in my video, but I love the fact that Bitcoin hit this first fib extension, grinded up against it, and then broke through, went all the way up to the next one, and then hit resistance on it. And now it's trying to grind there. It actually, to me, it looks very resilient and strong. And again, if I look at it this way, if the Fed does screw up and they don't lower rates quick enough and we start to see stress in the banking sector, like we saw last week when we had multiple banks that were dropping 40, 50%, I think that benefits Bitcoin. It has every other single time. So I don't see why it wouldn't this time. So if we see strength again when that starts to happen, I think that is just going to point to an even stronger than anticipated cycle this time around. We have the Bitcoin ETF where there's money flowing in every day that we didn't have from parts of the economy that we didn't have before. The boomers are here now, and they've got trillions of dollars that they could put towards this. And then you have the halving coming anywhere from 75 to 79 days, I think it is now, depending upon the calculator that you're using. And then you have an economy and a globe really that is somewhat unstable and strange. And so I think we could definitely see Bitcoin for the first time ever really be a flight to safety. And again, like I'm not the only one saying this. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the biggest investment fund on earth, is saying the same thing nowadays. So a lot of people are starting to agree. Altcoins, again, this is the top 100 list. It looks pretty green. We're seeing a lot of stuff rising up. Link did great. Render is doing great. There's just a bunch. Pith is another one a friend of mine loves. Mina, I think I own some of that one. Everything is doing really pretty solid for the week and the day. So, I mean, we're still seeing speculation. It's increasing. So we'll see what happens, but it's doing pretty good. Meta, I wanted to show you guys this chart. And you guys in chat, I haven't looked too much. Sorry, I'll try and get better. Uranium's doing good. You need to follow my friend Derek. He posts quite a bit, and we kind of chat back and forth on X. He's a big uranium guy. I looked at uranium a long time ago. I just never got into it, but it was definitely the right play. Everybody cares about nuclear right now. Everybody wants more energy. If nothing else, to make more bombs, right? So we got uranium is in demand, and it probably will be for a while. But it has run too. So I don't know. That's not financial advice. I haven't looked at it close enough. Definitely hit up my friend Derek. Meta. So yeah, I said that it could go 25%. This is what I'm talking about. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Let me see here. Gotta get used to this. So if you look at this trend, fib-based extension, the .618 is the golden retracement zone, and that lines up perfectly with the upper end of this fan that we've been forming. I said this earlier too, like, hey, if you made a bunch of money in Meta, I am super happy for you. That's great. I made 500% last year. I won't lie. I wish I would have kept those calls. It'd probably be like 2,500% now, or some stupid number. But I gotta caution you guys. Like, this thing right now let's see here, on the weekly time frame, this thing had the best weekly close ever on the RSI, ever in its entire history. On the daily time frame, it had its second best day ever. Oh, you know what? It might have actually settled a little bit lower, so that's good. So it's in a group of like 3 out of 4 of the best days. It's in that grouping, so it looks like it's a top 4. So it closed a little bit lower. That's a little more stable. I would expect this though, honestly, to close that daily gap. I need to draw that in here too. I don't know if it goes up first, if we get another 25% and get up to around the 600 range, but that's going to be heavy resistance. This thing will be probably a $2.3 trillion, $2.2 trillion entity by that time. I don't know how much upside you expect out of this in the short to midterm, like the next year, but I think that at some point in the next like 6 months or so, we'll end up retracing back down to here and filling the gap, or we'll just chop up in this range. We can't go much higher. We can try and ride this up a little bit, but history indicates that this will start to find a ceiling. Things don't fly forever. Just trust me. And it was much more fun when I was buying it down in the 80s and up and low 90s than somebody who's getting into this right now at almost $500 a share. So don't chase. I know it's so easy to do, especially if your stuff hasn't moved. It is really easy to chase because you see things moving and you're like, none of my stuff is going anywhere. This is where it's very, very, very important to understand what you own and understand your time frames for investing. Because if you chase, you will be constantly disappointed as you follow one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and you buy them at the highs in their RSI on the daily and weekly time frames. Figure out which companies you're going to follow, which ones you're going to track, which ones you're going to buy on the lows, and which ones you're going to ride, and how long you're going to do it. You're just going to be a better investor if you have that kind of mentality. If you don't, you're going to get screwed over and over again, and you're going to be one of those people that says, why is it that everybody else's stock is going up and mine isn't? Instead, you wait, and then you celebrate, and you have a huge party when your stuff goes up, and you make tons of money. Trust me. All right, I'm going to jump real quick to SoFi. If you guys have things you want me to pull up too, tell me, and we can look at some charts. The one thing I didn't like on SoFi's chart, we got a nice bounce. I can't complain about it being up 2%. I think I made like 15K or something off of that today. So that was definitely helping my portfolio out. I don't like, though, that we're underneath peak volumes still. And that goes up a ways into the 818 range. And I don't like that we're under the 200 on the daily moving average. Hey, thanks for signing up, man. Appreciate that, Casper. But so I don't like that. I want to see us breaking above and getting like above that 820 range and starting to turn that into support and heading higher. And I do think that that's going to happen, especially I thought regional banks would get crushed today. Nobody seems to care. Nobody cares about all the concerns from last week, the banks that were looking like they were going to fail. All that stuff has just disappeared. And the markets are going to do what they're going to do. So as long as that stuff's rocketing, I see no reason why SoFi isn't going higher. You got to realize there were a bunch of people trading, obviously, earnings day, right? They made their money and then they just exited immediately. They're like, hey, you know what? This thing has a history of going up, and then earnings come out and then it gets crushed. So I'm going to ride that. I'm going to get my 20% and I'm going to bounce. Well, they did that. All right, PayPal and Hood, link. Yes, I'll look at all those. But they did that and they got out. But those people are idiots, in my opinion. I think that this stock is going to continue to start to increase. The chart looks great. You can see, I said this yesterday, but the chart, you can see this line going down and then a slightly less descending line and then a slightly less descending line, finding support. Down here, we find support again. I think maybe we chop a little bit, maybe for another couple of weeks max, and then we start to go up and start to test higher, especially if the rest of this market is going. Because if the big guys are going, then there's a chance that we're going to broaden out. So and if we broaden out, man, everything starts going up. And when we broaden out, you don't want to be in Meta and Microsoft and even Nvidia and these other things. Like, you can have positions in them, but that's not where the money is going to be. If the market is going to continue to go higher, it's going to have to broaden. And when it broadens, that's when we'll start to see small caps, or at least I think in the short term, we'll see companies like PayPal, SoFi, Hood, Square, Arc Genomics, things like that are just waiting to scream higher. And you'll see a lot of that coming up. PayPal. I see some people talking about PayPal. Let's pull that up. So we got a little bit of a reprieve today. We got to the 0.64%. I think the really important thing, though, I need to change timeframes here, is where we closed for the week. So the week we basically closed above support one more time on that descending trend line. And let me just zoom out so I can get a better look here. And you can see, again, actual candle closes, wicks. We did close above support. So the fact that we're above peak volume going back to 2 years, and we're above that downward sloping resistance line again and finding support above it, I think is super positive. And I think I'm going to make a lot of money off of PayPal contracts. I've got 3,701. I haven't sold one of them yet. I'll probably sell 50% when we get to this $100 level up here, right around this range, because I'll make, if it happens over the next 3 to 4 months, I could make, anywhere from $1.7 to $2.2 million. So I think that would be great. All right, next, I'm going to hop over here. Somebody said Palantir. Let's do it. Palantir is actually still impressive. I don't love the chart. But man, I will say this. It keeps finding support under peak volumes. So if I go all the way back in the peak volume here, you can see how under the volume profile, it just keeps staying up here. And if we can grind higher, and actually get like a good close, I would love a close over like 1830 where we get this other peak right here. I would love for this to be turned into support. If we could pull that off and get up in that range, then we could go higher, and we'd be above on the daily time frame. We'd be above all the moving averages here. Even at 1750, we'd be above the 50, the 100, the 200, and this thing could start to fly. Let me look at resistances though. Let me see here on the weekly. Here's the one concern I have for Palantir still, even today. Like I said, we need to start breaking higher. We've got bearish divergence and convergence on the weekly time frame for this. So even though it's going up this way, it's going down these. So I would really like to see strength, like getting up to the .786, getting to the 21 range, and being able to hold that. If we did that, we would break through and start to get, convergence and start to go higher. And that would be really great for Palantir. That would help it a lot. All right, let me see here. Let me do Hood real quick, and then I'll hop into some of these others. I see people asking for coin. I see them asking for a bunch more. Let's pull it up here. All right, so Hood. Hood's actually popping a little bit in aftermarket too, and I like that. So Hood, as you can see here, it's sitting above the .5 fib, and it's been kind of turning that into support. It's been grinding right at it. I think it's a good thing. I think that this is showing, if you look here, we couldn't even make it down under the 100 and 200 moving averages, getting a little bit of rejection off the 50, but we're finding support on the fib. I actually think that we could find more upward movement starting next week. And if nothing else, man, earnings are coming. When's earnings? The 13th. So we've got, just a little over a week, and we're going to have earnings for Hood. And I think that those are going to be positive to the upside. I won't go through all the reasons why. I made a specific video about this, but it's a long list of really positive things that are setting up for Hood, and crypto is going to be a decent part of that too, along with all these IRA transfers. They're oversubscribed by 3 weeks. These guys are adding a ton of assets under management. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, let me see here. Enphase. I think Enphase is going to suck. It's going to suck just like Tesla's going to suck. again, these guys do well. People take out loans for this equipment. These guys do well. Ignore all these lines. I got to clean all this up. These guys do well when those loans are cheap, when they have cheap money and rates aren't coming down, or at least the perception is that the economy is too strong for them to come down in March. So Tesla and Enphase are not going to have any relief until that happens. Here's the one thing I like about Enphase, though. You can see here how it's treading. There's like two resistance support lines that have kind of formed over time. It's still holding on, which is pretty remarkable. So we'll see if it can keep doing that, but it's holding on so far, and I'm liking that. If it can find support, gosh, it almost turned it into support today. If it can find it in here, maybe it can still run. Maybe it can still go higher. Got to remove this. That daily gap is gone. That's been covered. But again, lots of gaps in this one. It would be awesome to see these start to fill over time. That would be great. But these guys are going to get hit. They have foreign orders, so they're probably getting hit with the issues with the dollar being so strong, and then at the same time they don't do well with high rates. So, but if this can get a lift, I haven't looked at calls for this one in a while. I might actually have to do that. That might be fun. Looking at something 2026, that might be interesting. Real quick, I do want to jump over to Tesla, and then we'll pull up others here. But this one, I hate how weak Tesla is. It actually did get a bounce today, which is great, but it can't even get above, peak volumes. It can't get above the first fib. It can't even get to close this gap yet. Now, maybe it'll do that next week. Maybe the markets continue to just be strong. But again, Tesla is going to hurt, man. Like, we could see them lowering prices around different parts of the world. I think Canada, too, we just saw some. They're going to have to keep doing that. They already gave us forecasting that things are rough. And I think that could continue as long as the Fed is tight with rates. And again, they have China-related risks, too. China's economy, I think, is a mess. And so they've got that kind of risk and geopolitical risk from potential war and invasion of Taiwan. There's just a lot of weird things that are kind of hanging over them right now. I don't know that Tesla is going to be a really great investment right now, but I do think that I'm actually interested. Today I bought calls for 2026 for Tesla. What did I get here? Let me just pull it up. I got June 2026. So I bought leaps. If you guys haven't watched my options video, you have to. It will teach you probably a bunch of things you didn't already know. But I bought June 2026 leaps for Tesla. Let me just pull it up here real quick and show you what they look like. I actually think they look pretty good. I expect this to go down, and I expect to lose money on these. I hope to. I hope to lose money on them because I want to buy it cheaper too. But I got 330s. I should check and see what I got them at. One sec here, chat. I'll get back to you in a second. I need to see what I bought these at. 2371. So they're already up just from a little bit from today. I didn't buy a lot. I just did a starter pack. But Tesla, theoretically, in the next 2.5 years, could do 700, I think, easily. We were almost at 420. I mean, Elon had to love that number. But we almost hit 420. And I think that if you look here at what the opportunity is for this, let me do this. I got to recalculate. So this is going out 2.5 years. This is the middle of 2026. It's a long time frame from now. But let's say that the measured move for kind of the peak, I think, of Tesla and what it's probably capable of over the next 2.5 years, I'd say 700 is pretty reasonable. And if it did that, that would be a 270% gain from here. Again, I think this is reasonable. With a 271% gain, you could get 1,452% if it's 2.5 years from now. But if it happens in like 2 years, you could get 1,516 or 23%. So again, like, this is a pretty good return off of what would be a $12,000 investment. So essentially, this is my way of saying, you know what? If this keeps grinding down, these will get beat up. The premium will get sucked out of it. The extrinsic value, that's what the premium is, will get sucked out of it. And I can buy more of this. I've got my starter pack right now with 12K. But if 12K can get me 175,000 over a period of 2 years or 2.5 years, that's great. If it only has to go up 271 to do it, I like that kind of number. That's the kind of math that I love. because you're looking at like a 5-6xer here, and you want at least something like that. You want a good risk to reward. And right now, here's the thing: if Tesla doesn't do anything over the next 2 years, you know how much capital I'm out? 12 grand. It can just sit here, and that I don't even give a shit about that. Or no, trying not to cuss. I'm working on it. I'm not going to get better overnight. But yeah, $12,000, and I'm not going to care about that. That's nothing to me. I have about $300,000 in cash right now in bonds, so I'll just add to this. It doesn't really impact me, and the potential rewards can get high. If I ended up doing like, let's say I end up getting 20 of these, just because it keeps dropping, that's only 47 grand. That's nothing for me, and that could be $700,000 in the future in gains. So I think that's a fun one. Somebody wants Amazon. I'll get to Amazon. Let me do Amazon. Before we get there, though, I want to look at one other thing first. I want to look up the bond chart, and this is why I bought bonds, even though it got beat up today. And it could continue to for a few days, but it moves slow, so I don't care. And it pays dividends, and you can't hate dividends. So this is just my version of cash, because I think over the next couple of months, if we get downside and markets don't perform, I think people will actually start to rush into bonds again. And if we get upside, I think eventually people will lock in bond rates and money will start to move out of money markets. People that still want bonds will start to lock in rates. And so you could see how this is really beat up and has been trending down, and that it tried to break above and it couldn't do it. But again, we're closing in a good range. We're still above peak volumes. We've got bullish divergence and convergence here on multiple timelines. There's probably another green line here. So I think this is an easy purchase just to sit on, which is why I'm in $300,000 in cash, because I think that, again, this is going to be a good buy. And if nothing else, it's good cash, and I can end up buying other stuff with it. No likey SoFi. Oh, that's too bad, man. I think that's going to make a bunch of money. So it's too bad you don't like. I don't know if you don't like it or if you think that the market doesn't like it, but it was up 2% today. That's pretty good, and I think it's going to skyrocket. So, what about 2026 calls? I actually like 2026 right now. I think the risk to reward isn't that much different. You're paying a higher premium, but for a lot of them, again, this is specific to different stocks. You want to look this up with the options calculator, and then also look up which ones have the highest amount of open interest and volume, so that you make sure that you're getting in something that's liquid. But 2026 is looking pretty good. If I'm buying calls and a lot of stuff nowadays, it's probably going to be out there. Gosh, Jesse, I love the passion. You know, I got people that hate it and I got people that love it. So I can't figure out what to do. All right, let's see here. What did I miss? What do you guys want to see? Coin. Let's jump to coin. Here, I'm going to do I'll just do it here. I don't want to do it with this one. I'll do it with this one. Or do I have another chart? I don't want to F with my charts that I like. You know what? I never use GBTC. Let's go there. Evidently, you can't have like 100 charts open on TradingView, even if you have premium. So making a mental note of that. All right, let's see here. Coin. Let's take a look. Gosh. You guys are fun. All right. All right, let me see here. Coin actually isn't doing too bad. I like the fact that that's a 3-day, though. Let's get to a different chart. Let's look at the weekly and see if it tells us anything. It's actually maintained pretty strong, I'd say. I haven't looked at options in this one, but that's not much of a retrace, in all honesty. But I guess Bitcoin hasn't, to be fair, let me get to the right thing here. To be fair, Bitcoin hasn't even really went down that much either. Yeah, 37%. That's a pretty steep drop. So that is a decent amount. I'd say it's pretty fair value. I don't know what options look like for these. I'm imagining they're probably not worth it because they probably have a huge amount of open interest. But the stock looks all right, and as long as Bitcoin keeps going, this has got a nice curve. I could see it going up. There's no crazy trends. I mean, we still have bullish. Yeah, we have it looks good. The RSI is good. The MACD looks good. It looks like it wants to flip to the upside, just like Bitcoin. ZM, is that Zoom? I don't know, man. I never look at them. I don't even know what they're, let me see here. I'll pull it up. I don't think that there's much to see here. Yeah, gosh, that looks horrible. Let me look at something else here. Let me go to the income. Let's go to more financials. Revenues are going nowhere. And I mean, aren't these guys based out of China? I feel like they are. I don't know. Maybe they're incorporated here now. If it's China, then like, I don't know. I don't see anybody wanting to invest in a company that might be storing your data on Chinese servers with the way our relationship with that country is right now. So this looks like pretty dead money to me. That might turn around. I don't know enough about the company to know if there's anything promising in the future. They're surprising to the upside, but on that same note, like their financials don't look like they're a lot better quarter over quarter. Let's look at annual. Gross profit, operating income, net income 103. So net income's going down. I don't know. The growth is slowing too. I don't know, man. I wouldn't put a lot of money into this right now. There's so many other good plays. Clean Spark. Link. Somebody asked for Link for a while. We're going to Link next, guys. 1 second here. Or you know what? Let's get the big dog out. Let's get Amazon. Amazon had a great earnings. I mean, it gapped up too. I hate these gaps, man, because when you're this far up, that gap is gonna close. It's just going to at some point. We don't know when. Maybe it takes a long ass time, but we will revisit this. This is too much. But again, they had great earnings. Short time here, they look toppy. But I haven't run a trend-based fib extension off of this. Let me see here. It's probably good to do it from here to here to here. Let me see. All right. So yeah, maybe we get up to the 185. We could break higher than that, but honestly, like, what is this company after today? It's probably getting close to 2 trillion. If AWS keeps doing well, maybe it keeps going higher. But that's a pretty high cap. And again, these big dogs, everybody's interested in the big dogs right now. You should have bought these. You should have bought Meta around 90-ish. You should have bought this in the 80s. These aren't the things that you start to get in now. Like, I'm just like, they're not. It's a stupid move to be focusing on this right now. You should have caught all this upside. You know, I was buying Meta when it was down like $90 or in the 80s or something. That was the time to do it. This one just ran 110%. Now, don't get me wrong, Amazon could still go higher. I mean, maybe we get up to this, next fib level and we get up in the 300-ish range. But again, you're going to be capped on some of your gains on this one. This could be a decent part of your portfolio, but it's your slow moving money. It's what you use as a source of funds when you want to buy the things that are going to give you a more asymmetric return. I wouldn't funnel into this stuff and chase it, just like I wouldn't do that with Meta, which has climbed an astronomical amount. Where was that? I don't even know where I had Meta. It's in here somewhere. I got too many charts open. Yeah, again, Meta especially. I made 500% off this last year. I wish I would have kept it. But again, this thing was in the 80s. And I don't know, on the daily, I think it got even lower. Now, maybe it was right around upper 90s. But you should have bought this before it went up 436%. So don't chase. I'm just going to keep saying that. Please don't chase. Be smart with your money. 3M, XRP. Wow, we got a lot of different requests. Link I'm doing for sure. I told you Link. I'll do Link. I don't know how many more of these will do. I'll definitely do CLSK too, because that's one I follow. All right, let me see. Link. Crypto, please. Let's do this. Link looks sick. I mean, this is a beautiful chart. This is a beautiful cap. What is it? The cap's 10 billion. Yeah, I mean, this one's probably gonna more than 10x this cycle would be my guess. I mean, you sat right on top of the 50 perfectly. Perfectly. Yeah, this is a beautiful chart. I say it. Let me see. Let me see. When was the last cycle? This is the bear market. Okay, so let me draw. I can do a fib-based trend extension here and just see. I'm trying to remember bear. No bear. When was the bear for this thing? Let me look at Bitcoin. This thing is doing too good. Let me see. Is that UBTC? That's you. Okay. So bear market 2022 more recently here. God, Chainlink has done really good through all of that. Okay, so it's all this. And then the previous was right here. Okay, cool. Let's draw that. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. It's already testing the .382. That's freaking beautiful. We could maybe take a pause at the 618, but Link looks super strong. I own some of this in my Shibcoin portfolio. I would definitely keep holding on to this. This is a great one. Solana, yeah, of course I have to do Solana. I need to do my fib-based trend extension here too. This one's just sick. It didn't even go under the 50 moving average on the daily. This one's stupid. There's definitely a lot of regret, I think, from a lot of people that they didn't buy more Solana down here. I know I wish I would have. Again, let me pull this up here. Trend-based extension. This was definitely one. You know what, though? I used to hate this one because it always died. It always died, but it's so great now. Let me zoom back in here. It's like the exact opposite of everything it was last cycle. And now it's just ridiculous. So even just going back, and this isn't like super proper. I don't know if I need a different exchange. Whatever. This is the recent one, right? So this is the bear market going to recent high and then drawing our line down here. I don't even want to draw it like that though. I really want. Let me see here. Is this the last? I need a better exchange. 1 second here. Let me see. Binance is probably better. Yeah, okay, cool. Sorry about that. Let me get this one. I need to do this proper. All right, so I'll try and save out these charts too. So let me see here. When is this? May? This doesn't even go far enough. I'm going to have to find the right exchange for this one, but this is pretty good. May of 2021 is probably pretty accurate for the previous cycle. Okay, yeah, perfect. So the .382, we hit it. We're testing up against it. Looks very much like Link. This one's already run so much. What have we run? It's a lot. I own a decent amount of this. I think I have like 45,000 in this one. For a SHIB coin, that's a lot for me. And I don't even know what the market, like what it's ranked right now on the cap. It's probably like in the top 10 easy. Yeah, 1,100%. Gosh, you know what? I got 700% last year, but I would have felt a lot better if I would have also been heavily invested in Solana. You guys need to listen to Invest Answers if you don't already. The dude's brilliant. And he's one of the reasons why I'm in Solana right now with the most heavy position. I've got some Ethereum too, but this one probably even outweighs that. And it's because this thing's just an absolute beast. The fees are so much cheaper, so much better than Ethereum right now. Let's see here. Matic Lumen. Matic. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we can do that. Let me save this real quick. I don't want to lose this chart. I need to start cleaning up my charts and doing more, especially with the crypto markets getting ready to take off here. I am going to do Matic off of USD and Binance because I'll have a better record. Let me see. When did you guys add Matic? There's the March drop. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so let's do fib. I used the drop off of... I guess I could use the full one too, but let me just take a look here. This is not underperforming. It definitely is not there yet. It did close. Is it near the weekly? Well, I mean, we haven't closed the week in the crypto world yet, so maybe it still stands a chance. It's grinding up underneath the 200 moving average here on the weekly. I would like to see it get above that. I probably need to redraw this chart the correct way with the fib too. I don't even know if March 2020 is going to be the right one. I need longer time frames, so I'm going to have to look and see what charts are best, which exchanges are best for this. But yeah, it's doing all right. It's underperforming though. When you look at between Solana and Link, this just isn't doing it. And the market cap, what are we at? 7.68. So it's a little bit under those two. But again, the way these cryptos work, man, we've established a base where you can see heavier volumes right here. I need to add the VRVP in this one, but you can see how there's a bunch underneath of this. I would say that this is looking towards breaking out, and I'll start to save these charts. And take and make it to where I can pull these up easily between all of them and start loading them a little bit better. I don't have all that yet, but I'll get that so that we can start pulling them up, and I can get these really clean for you. That way we could roll through them quicker too. I already did Palantir. If you go back a little bit, you'll see that in the video. It's right here. I said that we really need to get above this .786. But if we've done that, I mean, how much higher? The thing I worry about Palantir is they're getting S&P inclusion. If the markets are going crazy, this one could rip. It could rip. Maybe we get to 29 or something. Maybe we even go higher. And that's if they get S&P inclusion and the markets are still happy. If they aren't happy, then, oh, Matic just laid off a bunch of their org. Interesting. That's interesting. I'll have to do more research and understand that better. Yeah, that's combined with the chart. That doesn't make me super bullish on Matic. I'm not going to lie. Injective. I own that one. Let me see here. What is that going to do? Is that Injective? Yeah, okay, cool. I got to make sure I get the right one. Again, I need to get the right charts on these. I don't know. Bitstamp is probably the older one. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll try and save all these. How old is this? No, that's not even that old. That's not even a good one. Oh, okay. Maybe Binance. Sweet. Yeah, I need to find these altcoins, guys. I'm gonna have to start pulling these up and figure out what exchanges they are based off of that have the best historical and volume, and then I'll start saving them for future episodes here. But right now, I just can't do it justice, so I'm gonna skip them. Fubo, I don't love Fubo. I exited that one a while ago. But yeah, so going forward, I'll have some nice charts for you. Right now I don't. Fubo's got such an ugly volume profile because there's just the way this chart works, it's just a flippin' disaster. Because it's down so much. I don't know. I feel bad for the people that paid whatever that is, $23,700. Whatever happened here in the past, 2015. I don't know what this company, it got valued way too high. Look at this though. It's so crazy. You gotta zoom in more locally here. I mean, it looks like we're finding a base on this. I don't know enough. I don't love, see their financials I don't love. So if I'm looking at, let's just go to revenue. Revenues are up, but let's look at, I mean, they're losing 84 million. And again, they got cash for that. But I don't love it when you're losing money. I just don't, again, the business model's so tough. So I invested in Fubo, and then I started using the service. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad. But I find myself going back to YouTube TV because on my mobile app it works better. It allows me to be able to see it in a minimized view and still use my phone. There's just a bunch of little things where I just don't know how these guys are better. And again, when I compare the dollar amounts of the services, and then look at Google. I mean, do you want Google, YouTube as your competition, like YouTube TV? And then there's just so many other platforms that are like it that provide some kind of streaming. And then there's some that you can just get it for free with ads. I don't know, man. I think this is a tough business. I'm not super fond of this, and that's why I don't invest in it. All right. I don't like Mara. I'm not going to go into the fundamentals. I'll pull up the chart. Um, People that know me know that I do not like. I think there's too much risk with Mara, even though again they're doing massive production, and I don't like the J Capital Research reporting, and I don't like the fact that there's disclosures that don't get filed that should be filed. But this thing could skyrocket. I mean, it looks like all the miners. It looks like all the miners. It could do really well. And if these guys don't have, if they don't have any like fraudulent, weird things that happen to them, I don't like Hut right now is got a class action lawsuit against him. I'd stay away from that. Cypher, I don't love the fact that their primary holder was selling a bunch of they're giving away a bunch of their stock. I shouldn't say giving it away, distributing it so that they can reduce their holdings in the company before the halving. It's like, if you really believed in this, why wouldn't you hold on to that and make a bunch of money and then distribute it out? It just seems weird to me, and I don't understand it unless they're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts, which is possible. I've never found businesses to do that, and when they're missing 400 or 500% gains in a year and a half. But yeah, this looks all right. We got volume underneath of us on Mara. That's cool. All this volume right here, and the fact that it's finding support on it, the fact that it didn't even go down to the 100 and the 200 is good. The fact that on the weekly it bounced off the 100 pretty good, and it's trying to go higher, that's all good. But this stuff, these miners, man, I would look at Bitcoin first. You need to see Bitcoin doing well. If Bitcoin does well, then the miners will start to follow. And if Bitcoin does really well, you'll see altcoin season, you'll see Bitcoin mining season. But Bitcoin has to go first. I mean, altcoins, if Bitcoin can stabilize and chop a little bit higher, altcoins might start going off first. But I don't know. Miners definitely had their heyday. They went up a lot over a short period of time. Some of these were up 1,000%, like the SHIB coins. So again, we went from, what did we go from on this? 35 cents to $85. So yeah, that would have been cool. That's a lot of money from March of 2020 up to the peak here. And then more recently, what did we do? 316 to, yeah, almost 10x, 9x. So I don't think it would be crazy for these to take a break. They might run another 30, 40%, but we'll see, man. There are so many charts that you guys are putting up. Oh, AVEX is probably a good one. We can look at it here real quick. I definitely got to start saving these. I'm sure that AVEX is going to be crushing it. Let's see. I'll do Binance. Yeah, this is a great looking chart. I don't need to go too deep into this. I've got to fix these charts. All the crypto stuff, guys. Let me get the right exchanges where all the volume was so that I can get my trend-based extensions in here, and I can give you a better idea what the different targets are. But this looks great. I mean, it couldn't break down at all, really, in comparison here. It got to the 100, and it just bounced right back up on the daily. And now it looks like it's trying to break through the 50 and go up. I think that we could be seeing the upper 40s. If the Bitcoin market can sustain, I think we could be at upper 40s pretty quick. Holy, 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 ho. I wasn't planning on being on too long today, so I might. Again, I got a lot of work to do, guys. I'm trying to test this stuff out, make sure that the live stream works, get a format for what I'm doing here. So I think I'll probably get ready to call it here in a second. If you could, though, in comments, if you guys could go into comments and let me know for the flow of this, if there's anything that should be changed, and if there's anything you want to focus on each day. I'm going to try and keep it probably at news, macro, what was running, what wasn't, what's going on with different commodities like oil, energy, economic indicators. What are they doing? What's happening in the bond market? What's happening with Bitcoin and altcoins? And then some stocks, like definitely the ones I cover, and then I'll be happy to talk about some others too. But I think that's the gist. And again, I'll start pulling up more. I'll try and do what my buddy Mitch Ray does. I'll probably try and start saving a bunch of these charts so that I can pull them up in real time and tell you what I think. And I'm going to be getting a lot more involved too in the altcoin market. So I'm going to try and become a master of that pretty quick. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. And then I'll be able to answer a lot more than just what's going on with the charts, because I do like to dive into things, as you guys probably already know. I want to make sure that I understand what I'm talking about from a macro, from a fundamental, from a technical level. I don't like to mess around. I like to make sure that I understand the big picture. So anyway, I think that's it for now. I really appreciate all you guys for being here. If you could make sure to like and subscribe, ring the bell if you want to get, future notifications, that would be awesome. And then whatever you can do, if you guys want to join too, it helps support the channel and helps it maybe where I can hire somebody, because I kind of hate all the creative part of this. I just want to do all the work and hopefully be able to benefit you guys from the hard work with the macro and the fundamental and the TA, and not so much trying to figure out thumbnails and other crap. So